And I'd have to say that that music is fitting for the tie that Keith Hillier is wearing this morning. It's absolute class. Good morning, Keith.
Yes, good morning, Sandy. And I gave you the tie last time. You're not getting this one.
I know that.
Palace Rain was the horse that caught our eye at Sandown here in Melbourne yesterday. He's the Caulfield Guineas winner of last season. He was big yesterday, 58 kilos over his winning weight of last year, but in the Moonta Plate he flashed home and finished second. Also, one of the Melbourne Cup hopes, Star of the Realm, came from last to finish seventh. The trainer, John Maher, said it was a perfect performance. I thought it was acceptable. What did you think, Max Presnell, as we say good morning to you in Sydney?
Good morning, gentlemen. Well, it's a matter of the conditions and how they favoured that type of horse. Of course, Star of the Realm isn't at home on a heavy track and was confronted with that yesterday. Palace Rain, well, certainly that's his conditions. I don't think Palace Rain did anything I didn't expect him to do. As far as I'm concerned, the best Melbourne trial for the big Melbourne races came from Double Malt in the Premier Stakes at Canterbury. The Premier Stakes, I thought, was a much stronger race than those in Melbourne. And the way Double Malt went to the line, I'd say he went to the line faster than any other horse at Canterbury. He carried 58. He drops to 49.5 in a race like the Melbourne Cup. He's got the talent that he's being set for the Epsom before he goes to Melbourne. And that gives you an idea of the potential of this lightly raced horse. Now, if he stands up, he's going to take a major role in the major Melbourne events like the Caulfield and Melbourne Cups.
OK, thank you, Max. We'll have a look at that later. But he's Palace Rain storming home for second in the Moonta Plate, and this is the run that saw him backed in from 33s to 20s.
Coming up the side past the 600, Red Hope by a half length. Shimmer Defer close handy, 2 lengths away, and third posse there is Centip, followed by Regal Adama. Arc Raj on the outside of Silver Neon, followed by Palace Rain. Black Stunner, well back as Star of the Realm, followed by Pine Red, and tailed off as Field Officer. Well in the straight with about 350 metres left to go. Red Hope is being tackled by Shimmer Defer on the outside. They're out by a couple of lengths to Centip, and down the outside Palace Rain is running on strongly, and so is Black Stunner. Shimmer Defer takes the lead with 150 metres left to go. Silver Neon rattling home down the outside, and so is Palace Rain. Shimmer Defer being tackled by Silver Neon, who's going home the better. Silver Neon hit the front. Silver Neon has won it. Silver Neon has won. Close for second and third, Palace Rain, and Shimmer Defer in a photo just ahead of Black Stunner.
Silver Neon, he's the son of the 1981 Caulfield Cup winner Silver Bounty, but Palace Rain was the eye-catching run, and Star of the Realm satisfied his connections. He was only 3.5 lengths from the winner. Assam Max, the Sydney Cup winner, he ran yesterday at Sandown in the Veet Chevelle. He always toiled near the rear of the field.
Yeah, but that style of horse,
left
Keith.
To go now. Centonic takes a slight lead, a half length to State Taj, a length and a quarter further back to Regal Rauger. High Solid fourth on the rails, followed by Mr. Elegant, making ground quickly, Disreputer. And they're followed by Lord Chickton. A bit further back is Ben Barra King. Then came Pilger, followed by Paringa Road. Hula Warrior starting to gain ground from a long way back as Arm is dropping out of it sharply. And Scopane is last of all as they straighten up where State Taj on the outside got his head in front of Centonic at the 400. 2 lengths further back is High Solid, followed by Regal Rauger. Hula Warriors a mile back as they come to the 300 where State Taj has kicked away, and State Taj was the leader, 2 lengths to High Solid, followed by Lord Chickton running on well. Hula Warrior starting to fly home from a long way back, but State Taj was the leader with 100 metres left to go. Look at Hula Warrior, Pilger coming down the outside. State Taj is still in front. State Taj is in front, and State Taj will hang on. State Taj has won it from High Solid. Very wide Hula Warrior there in a photo for third with Pilger and Lord Chickton.
I certainly wouldn't expect Assam to do any better than that. Certainly Assam isn't on my list for the Melbourne Cup. I thought he won a very substandard City Cup.
OK, well, let's turn the clock back a week now to the Churnside Stakes run at Sandown last Sunday. Our Pompey, the reigning Melbourne Cup favourite, returned to racing with an eye-catching run, showing surprising pace and amazing fight at the finish to finish second.
This began well with Pug for Me, and Durbridge is just in behind them. Green Sweeper going fast in the centre. And deeper on the track, looking for the lead, Andy's Reward, and Our Pompey is very prominent early, followed by Soho Square, and just in behind them is Senna, followed by Western Velvet, settling into stride, 650 metres out. Andy's Reward, the leader, by length in advance here of Street Ruffian, over on the inside of Pug for Me and Green Sweeper. They're closely followed by Sparky Miss, and just in behind the making ground is Soho Square, followed by Prince Acumen and Durbridge. And very wide on the track is Our Pompey as they swing into the straight. Western Velvet a long way back in the field then is Turbo Brave as they come down with 300 to go. Pug for Me has moved up on the outside to tackle Andy's Reward. Look at Our Pompey rattling home down the outside. Green Sweeper there in the centre. Durbridge not in the race at the moment, followed by Prince Acumen. Green Sweeper's taken the lead with 100 to go. Is clear now of Pug for me and our Pompey and Soho Square, but Green Sweeper is too good. A great run second, our Pompey. Prince Acumen third.
Described by John Russell, who called the race, Max, as a great run. You'd have to agree.
Oh, certainly. Our Pompey's a very promising horse. That was the style of run I would expect, and I think he'll certainly improve on it.
OK, well, the three races that we've shown you so far were all won by jockey Greg Hall. Now we turn our sights to Sydney, to the Premier Stakes, and Max, skating, odds on and last.
Yes, well, skating had the misfortune to draw the fence. Now, according to many keen judges, the fence was the worst place to be at Canterbury yesterday. Yet, the official going was good. Well, there were certain aspects to support an official reading of good, but Mick Dittman told stewards that skating didn't handle the ground on the fence, and obviously the stewards accepted that because they didn't even get the vet to examine skating. Skating ran last. I thought that perhaps the vet might have been called, but nevertheless the stewards said no. It was a very good race, the Premier. As I pointed out before, Double Malt and Eye Catcher, Clocker, perhaps lucky to beat Flitter. March Hare ran a good race. I'm sure that the form of the Premier will stand up well throughout the spring.
I want to ask you also, Max, about Jim Cassidy, who rode Flitter. He delayed the posting of correct weight, wanting to see a video. Now, that's something that's a relative new innovation in Sydney, isn't it?
Well, it has been done before, but it's not a bad idea. Now, Cassidy felt that Flitter was unlucky, did strike trouble, but he was not sure from whence the trouble came, whether it came from Clocker or another runner. So he asked the stewards just to have a quick look at the video to clear it up in his mind. After a quick, very brief glance, he said, no, I certainly can't protest against Clocker. Thank you very much. Let's get on with the day's racing.
Let's get on now with the running of the Premier. You'll see skating weakening to finish last, and let's look for the horse that Max nominated as the best Cups performance, Double Malt.
Varicos is well in front coming up the hill, led by about 2.5 to All Our Mob, and Skating has just dropped off a half length there on the inside, followed by Clocker, a length away Spanish Mix under a bit of pressure. Further back is March Hare, followed by Flitter and Double Malt, 2 lengths away last on the corner. Into the straight, Varicos well clear of All Our Mob. Dittman hard at work on Skating on the fence, followed by Clocker. Varicos in front, All Our Mob is coming at him. Skating not doing enough at the moment. All Our Mob has headed Varicos. Clocker on the outside coming at them now. She's going to outsprint them again. Little Clocker, she dashes to the lead close to home, and Clocker scores a brilliant win over the fast finishing Flitter, getting up for second.
Yes, I spotted Double Malt there. You were right, Max. Given that the inside was disadvantaged, Skating is the Doncaster handicap winner, and she couldn't catch a 161 to 1 chance in the early stages.
No, when you get biased tracks, Keith, it's very difficult to evaluate the rights and wrongs of it. But what sticks out in this instance is the track officially yesterday was described as good. So you go back through the form and you will see that Skating ran last on a good track. Now, it wasn't good. They'll call it good winter ground. I honestly don't know the answer to this, but I don't think you can condemn Skating on that run. There are a few other runners throughout the day at Canterbury that were on the fence, that were up near the lead, and by gee, they seem to run into a brick wall too.
Max, the richest race run in Europe overnight was the Geoffrey Freer Stakes. It was run at Newbury. It's Group 2. It was run over 2,650 metres. It is of interest to us because 2 Melbourne Cup hopefuls ran in the race, Shambo and Briar Creek. We have footage of the race. Very little seen of Shambo or Briar Creek. Shambo weakens to finish 4th or 5th.
Long left to go. It's Assessor who's packing too many guns at this stage. Azilfi's fighting back on the inside. Then Sonus, Shambo's runners ended. 100 yards left to go. Azilfi's come back on the inside. Grabbed a narrow lead from Assessor, and Azilfi's come again to win.
Yes, Willie Carson aboard the winner there, Ashilki. Max, those 2 horses are 2 of 14 Northern Hemisphere horses nominated for the Melbourne Cup. The race is becoming an international event, and I suppose next month when we go to the Irish St Leger, we'll see Drum Taps and Vintage Crop run in that race, and that will be a better guide as to whether this year might go to another imported horse.
Keith, whatever you do, don't have any of your money on imported horses to win the Melbourne Cup because there's just too much against them. We saw this exercise a few years back here when they brought over imported horses for the Tancred. There's just too much against against them. No, I'd rather be backing a local in the Melbourne Cup at this stage.
Well, what do names like Kingston Rule and Atalac mean to you? They're not homebred.
No, they're not homebred. I'm not doubting their quality. I'm just doubting that they can come over here in a quick campaign and win a Melbourne Cup. Give them a couple of years, certainly, but not overnight.
Well, on screen there we saw the list of the only 5 horses who have been imported Melbourne Cup winners, and when you consider that the race has been run 130 times, 1910 Comedy King, then backward in 24. But since the 80s, we do have Belldale Ball, Atalac and Kingston Rule, 5 out of 132. That weighs in favour of your argument, Max, doesn't it?
Yes, Keith. Well, seeing your judgment in ties has improved considerably. I don't want to see you go back a couple of cogs backing those imported horses.
I'll see you next week, Max Presnell. Max Presnell from Sydney. Sandy, that's the racing report for another week.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. We shall take a break, but stay with us. Pan Pac Swimming is coming up shortly.